Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, Films and Stuff podcast. How are you today?
All good. How are you?
Good. We've got something new on the agenda to discuss.
Yeah, so we just spoke about Shadow and Bone.
Yep.
And that actually, I forgot to mention it, but I thought that we should just quickly add that in here. You pointed me out to a new series available on Apple, but really it's an AMC Plus show. Yes. I think they're doing the same thing they did for La Fortuna, which is distributing it through Apple. Yep. But if you want to watch it on Apple TV, you need to pay a premium of whatever it costs.
It's expensive.
And that show is Moonhaven.
Moonhaven. Not to be confused with Moon Knight, which we also saw.
Yeah, or Moonfall and Moon Crush, which were two movies that we also reviewed.
And we're watching For All Mankind, which revolved around the moon.
The moon.
as does Umbrella Academy.
Oh, absolutely. So, okay, so
Moon
long
heavy.
Story short, you saw the first episode.
I saw the first episode.
I saw the first 3 episodes.
Whoa.
Moonhaven. Sorry, now I'm going to confuse and call Moon Knight. But Moonhaven is interesting. And the reason your review of Shadow and Bone reminded me of Moonhaven is because a lot of the things you said about about Shadow and Bone apply to Moonhaven as well.
Yeah.
So most famously, Moonhaven's, by the way, it's the new show. It stars Dominic Monaghan, who you'll know
Charlie Pace from Lost. Yeah,
Charlie Pace from Lost, and perhaps more famously, one of the hobbits from Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah! Wow, what a career for him.
Yeah, so it's a new sci-fi show. Super simple premise. It's 100 years in our future. The Earth is on the verge of collapsing because of, environmental reasons, etc. And so Earth sent out a small colony onto the moon with a new artificial intelligence and created a new breathable atmosphere and life. And the idea was that these colonists were there to basically create a technology that would solve all the problems on Earth. And we are now ending that 100-year phase. And the point was that at the end of this 100 years, the technology was supposed to be sent back to the Earth to repair the planet. And that's where this movie this TV show kicks off. It's now the beginning of that process and what happens, the show continues.
So let's start slowly here. Just as based on that summary, right, which is what the show is about. Is that compelling to you, or that's not compelling to you?
Again, on paper, quite compelling.
Huh. I thought
that was interesting that they create a colony on the moon, and that sole purpose of that colony is to create technologies that will help Earth get back to what it once was.
I would say I am neutral on that being compelling, only because I feel like, although I haven't heard of anything exactly with that storyline, it's not so different from some other sci-fi shows out there where basically Earth had to kind of be abandoned and then they're ready to rehabitat it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. So
repopulate it. Whatever.
Yeah, repopulate it. So I would say it's neutral. Like I'm definitely open to it. I wouldn't turn it off, but it's not like something like, whoa, that is blowing my mind. I never thought of that idea before.
Yeah.
So I'm probably.
To be fair, though,
yeah,
I think there are very few shows that would do that for us nowadays.
Yeah, that's probably true. I think we also have a high bar. You're right.
Yeah, I think you and I especially, we've seen so many shows,
Yep.
We've, ideated so many shows that I think for us, it would be incredibly difficult to have a premise on its own that's like mind-blowing.
Fair to say. So for me, when you're watching a show or a movie the opening to me is so important.
The most crucial.
Right? And there's a lot of shows that I've grown to love that have had pretty either neutral openings or openings that I didn't really love. You know, like, for example, Top Gun, the original Top Gun, I think is a movie that just kind of hits you right away. It's a great opening. You know, a lot of the I'm making this up. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but my recollection is that a lot of the Fast and Furious movies kind of do that together. Whereas something like Umbrella Academy, I thought started kind of slow and weird. So just because it's not a great opening doesn't really preclude me from loving it. But it is important. And I have to say, I thought the beginning of this show was not really great. How did you feel kind of after the first 5-10 minutes?
Absolutely not. But like in our homework segments, I kind of said, look, I'm going to give it at least 2 episodes. And I remember messaging you after watching the second episode and saying, you know what? I think I'm in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem, is that Apple and AMC have kind of shot themselves in the foot, because watching just that first episode, I think most people are going to say, I'm out. If they had done 2, I think you might have bought in at the end of the second, I think. Having said that, and I did tell you this earlier, offline, I watched the 3rd episode, and all of a sudden I'm now back on the fence as being like, I could take it or leave it. Which is not what you want out of a show that you're already paying for a subscription
you've got to love
and
it.
then to have to pay for it. I'm not in. Like, if I don't appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thought process is, if you're not in, you're out. You know?
Yes.
If you're kind of on the fence, that means you're out, because there's a lot of stuff that competes for your attention, for our attention, right? So I have to say, I did only see the first episode, and the opening scene I thought was really not at all compelling. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty bad way to open up a show.
Sure.
You know, 2 people kind of chasing each other. There was this kind of glow-in-the-dark butterfly. They were kind of kissing like an interracial couple, but they were fighting. And then he killed her, right?
Yep.
Spoiler alert. So, which I say with no enthusiasm. So I just thought, like, all right, this has done nothing for me. This is supposed to be kind of like science fiction-y. I haven't seen any tech. I haven't seen anything. No good visuals. It's very dark, right? Because they're running at night in a forest or something. I was like, all right, let's see where this goes. And then, to be honest, like, as the episode went on, I got more and more into it, but there was still like some really kind of frustrating elements to me, and this may be storyline, right? So, for example, the Indira Mare, right, who is apparently kind of this leader of Earth.
Kind of. That's right. She's like the envoy that represents Earth.
Yeah, she is kind of the relationship with this AI in the moon. She apparently makes a special trip to the moon, and she has 1 pilot and 1 bodyguard. That's it. Just 3 people on this huge spacecraft, which I thought was kind of like weird.
And speaking of which, played by Joe Manganiello.
Yeah. What have I seen him in?
Most famously, he's Sofia Vergara's husband. Oh. He was Deathstroke in the Justice League movies.
Yeah.
The cameo sequence. He was in Magic Mike. He was one of the male strippers. That's probably where he's most famous for. He had a cameo series in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, I know the name, but I don't really know the guy. But I thought he was pretty good as kind of a bodyguard. But I just thought right away, like, you know, you and I pick through movies and shows pretty well. And I was like, hold on. This very important ambassador of Earth is going to the moon, and it's just the 3 of them. No entourage, no executive assistant, no anything. Just 1 bodyguard, 1 pilot, right? And then she and the bodyguard basically do they're basically go to sleep, right? For the duration of the movie, right? It induced sleep, which seems like the bodyguard at least should be awake and dude, if your bodyguard is going into an induced coma during the trip, what's the point of having a bodyguard if something goes badly, right? Even you saw the pilot beeped her nose, right? Beep,
That's
beep,
right.
honk, honk. What's the point of a bodyguard? So these little things kind of annoyed me. But I have to say, I kind of got into, the moon culture. I don't really understand how it's saving Earth. But
that's how you and I differ.
Oh, really? It was
I'm
too
not a fan
hippie
of that
commune.
hippie commune. I'm not a fan of that hippie commune stuff.
I have to say, if you're asking me my preference, it's not my preference. But I got into it in the sense that, okay, this is a little bit different. I'm starting to understand it a little bit. The way that they talk is kind of, I thought, unnecessary. The fact that they've got different words is unnecessary. They're still humans, they can use the same words,
It's only 100 years. They're on the moon.
Yeah.
It's not like we're talking 100 generations.
I agree.
Living off in the far off the solar system. You're orbiting home.
Yeah.
How are you
I agree.
this different, at least in your vocabulary?
So I kind of thought that the baby talk was unnecessary. I thought that I understand it's supposed to be a more sustainable culture. So I kind of appreciated some of that. I appreciated it's supposed to be more in touch with the earth. I appreciated that, but I just thought some of it was almost they just let the costume designer run amok. Right? They're hold on. Let's just come up with some nice gray or red or blue moon costumes. This isn't the Middle Ages. You don't have to reinvent the frock.
Exactly.
It was just I felt sometimes they let the set designers just kind of get out in front of the story that they were trying to tell. So I didn't really like that. And then I guess kind of towards the end of that first episode, there was a little bit of intrigue, and I have to say, I kind of got into it, but it would be, here's the proof is in the pudding, right? The second and third episodes you have to pay for. And that defines our rating system. I'm not going to pay for AMC to see a second episode of this. I've already got Apple TV Plus. If someone had AMC and said, hey, you want to watch this with me? I would. I'd mooch it probably if I didn't have anything else to do. But I wouldn't call. Pete, if you had it, I wouldn't call you and be like, hey, what are you doing tonight? How about if I come over, I'll bring a pizza and we'll watch Moonhaven. I wouldn't. If I came over just by, hey, I was in the neighborhood popping over and you're like, hey, I was just going to watch Moonhaven. Have you seen it? I'd be like, yeah, I'll watch that. That's kind of where I fall on it,
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's, you raise a point that I didn't even really think of, and I think it's an absolute valid point. The subscription to a platform is the first paywall, and that is the purpose of our rating system. But if you are now going to have a second paywall, on principle, I'm out.
Actually, thank you for agreeing to me, but putting a new point, which is you don't even get to see the show if you don't already pay for Apple TV Plus, right?
That's right.
So now I'm supposed to pay again. I love the guys at AMC or gals, whoever, right? AMC has done some great stuff. But no, I'm already paying for everything. Why am I paying for AMC as well? Yeah, there has to be a limit,
On that principle alone, I'm with you. I just think that it's a bit silly that I'm paying $8 a month or $12 a month or whatever it is. I think I'm paying £9 a month or £10 a month for Apple TV, whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah. And
then I watched this first episode. They've got an intriguing thumbnail. I'm like, ooh, it sounds nice. I watch it. And then all of a sudden when the thing comes up and they're like, oh, by the way, you need AMC Plus for episodes 2 and 3. I'm out. I'm sorry, but you've lost me at that, because if that were the case, why are you distributing for AMC Plus, right? If there isn't some kind of thing. I am lucky because, let's not say lucky, but for La Fortuna, I went through this process. So that's fine, but I wouldn't go through it again. And I certainly wouldn't say I'm going to pay $12 or $15 or $10 to buy this episode. Again, it's just not, or the series, it's not what I want.
Can I make an open suggestion to AMC and some other platforms?
Please.
If they would put, hey, watch episode 2, 99 cents, I would do it.
Okay.
I'm already on Apple TV Plus. All I have to do is hit click, right? And it bills me 99 cents. I would have done it. I really would have done it. 99 cents, it's nothing. How much do we spend to go to cinema? It's another 50 minutes. I would have done it. If you asked me to spend $8.99 a month to watch this, no way. And the weird thing is, I'm telling AMC they're stupid, but the reality is that I'm stupid. Because I will spend, right? People are stupid that I will spend 99 cents 12 times to watch that whole season, whereas I will not spend the $8.99 to commit to 1 month. So if they would change their billing, I would actually probably be spending more money on them. And I would be happy, they would be happy. But instead, it's like, they'll be like, hey, you want to get married? Whoa. Slow down. Yeah? Like,
let's go on a date.
You've only showed me one so-so episode. Yeah, we've only had one so-so date. Now you're asking me to, like, marry you? Yeah. You know, and pay a dowry? Like, hold on. They should say, like, hey, why don't we just do this again? 99 cents. It's nothing to you. I would do it.
I'm with you. Actually, and it's a really, really valid point that I didn't even think of, because I was more thinking about the show and less about the economics or about the access to the show. But on principle, and this is inherently a problem with Apple TV, right? And that's also because Apple, God bless them, they're trying their best, but they're only in operation for a year. They don't have all the content in the world. So the easiest way to get that content is either to acquire it from somebody else, or to act as a distribution platform, as a broker, which is fine. But then, then why am I paying you already on top of that?
Yeah, I have to say, we watch a lot of stuff. I mean, and we need a separate episode, I think, on which platforms we think are the best value. I think that's a really important thing. But I have to say, Apple, I mean, I watch something and I really like it, but then I scroll through the rest of their stuff and
I'm out. I'm not interested. I'm just not bothered.
Yeah.
I will say the quality of the shows we're watching is stellar, but that's only for the shows we're watching. There's a lot of junk on there that I'm just not bothering with.
But I agree. That's the problem with a platform, is that you need a lot of stuff, right?
This is where I think Netflix has a leg up on everybody.
Netflix
They don't just have a lot of stuff. They also have regional specific stuff, which very few platforms have. I think Amazon Prime is the only one that comes close.
So yeah, I agree. But again, I guess going back to the issue is, if it would be 99 cents, and we had this issue, or we had this discussion not that long ago. We talked about La Fortuna, right? Who's the dude who stars in there? The Tooch, right?
Yep.
As you call him.
Love him.
For both of those, they're both on AMC. And actually, I don't know why I can't get past this psychological barrier. It's probably because I have Apple TV Plus, and I have Amazon, and I have Hulu, and I have Disney Plus, and I have, what else do I have? I have Netflix, right? And I'm like, do I really also need AMC Plus? Right? If they charge me 99 cents an episode, they give
Having said that,
yeah.
If Breaking Bad and Mad Men were still on TV, or if this were 7-10 years ago, I would be a big proponent of saying you gotta get AMC Plus.
Is Better Call Saul on AMC or it's on Netflix?
So that's the funny thing.
Because I'm watching it on Netflix, right?
I'm watching it on Netflix as well, but it's an AMC show, and I think they also have it on AMC Plus. Yeah. But I think it's because Breaking Bad first they came out as like a Netflix, not an exclusive, but I think Netflix grabbed the distribution rights before AMC Plus existed.
Oh. But I'm just suggesting that try that as a pricing model, because I am more likely, even though it doesn't make any financial sense, I know myself, I would spend 99 cents an episode when I want to watch that, rather than paying.
It's the iTunes model, right?
It's the
paying
iTunes
for a single
model.
song versus the entire album.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's go back to Moonhaven quickly. It was
so tell me about episodes 2 and 3. Tell me what. Try to convince, or you tell me where you fall.
No, I'm not going to try to convince you, only because at the moment, the way it stands, it's a mooch. But I think that's very quickly potentially going to be a skip. It backtracked a lot. All the goodwill it gained in episode 2, it kind of lost in episode 3. Forget about the hippie commune thing. You get over that. Or I get over that.
What's the tone of this?
So the tone is like, it looks like they're setting up for a mystery, a big mystery. Right, which is it first was a murder mystery, and then it becomes a conspiracy.
Oh.
And that's exactly right. But the conspiracy so far is just, it took such a step at the end of episode 2. If you don't mind me spoiling it, everything that they've been working towards is a lie.
No,
and then you're just like, oh, okay, that's cool. And you're just like, oh, so they're not working towards saving Earth at all. But then you back to episode 3, you're like, no, they are. Or are they? No, they are.
or
are they? And I'm just like, okay, if you can't even fix that, I'm out. Like, what is going on here? They intersperse the episode with flashbacks to characters like childhoods. And you're just like, that's fine. But A, you have to do it well. And B, you have to have the flashback of a child that you actually care about. I don't care about any of these characters. It's too soon for that. That could happen in season 2. That could happen at the end of this thing.
Yeah.
It's too early for me to have flashbacks on a main character who, A, I don't think is a main character, at least isn't yet, and B, I have no emotional attachment to, and it explained very little to nothing for me.
Do you think that conspiracies, like, we all love a good conspiracy, but do you think it's more powerful when you see the conspiracy from the eyes of the entity that's perpetrating the conspiracy? Or do you want to be witnessing it? You're like, I don't think this is real. I think this is too good to be true. And then it's like, aha, the big reveal. I knew it was a conspiracy. Or, I'm so shocked. It's a conspiracy.
The reveal is better. The reveal is definitely better if you're witnessing the conspiracy happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
But what's different is that we very rarely, if ever, get to see see it from the conspirator's side.
Yeah.
So I think as a show trope, that would have been better. So in any case, Moonhaven. Look, I'm gonna go so far as to say, Ethan, hang on, let me watch it. I will continue watching it.
Stand back.
And
I've got this under control. Stand back.
And if it's something that I think is worth you watching, I'll let you know. I think I have a reasonably good handle on what I think you're going to like and not like. At this moment, gun to my head, I don't think you and I are going to walk out of this happy.
I mean, the key to a good show is that there needs to be a lot of different pathways that the show could take and a lot of multiple storylines, right? And I think we always go back to For All Mankind, right? For All Mankind is so good because there's multiple different storylines and we can talk about each of those and how they could each play out or how they could come back and intertwine, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, the problem with a show that has kind of a single arc and you're only following one theme, right? The theme for All Mankind is broad. What is it called? Like not a dystopian future, but an alternative history, right?
Yep.
Whereas something like this Moonhaven, it's kind of like, okay, there's a colony now on the moon. And we're not going to tell you if they're really trying to save the Earth or if they're just being manipulated. There needs to be more kind of like storylines involved, right? The Expanse is a good example of that as well, right? The Expanse has, again, there were 3 different parties, right? There were, well, maybe there are 2, Earth and Mars, right? And then there's kind of like the whole, right? So there are kind of 3 at the beginning, and then there are also the Belters, right? So they're kind of 4, right? So you can kind of see how they were all like playing against each other. Whereas, again, if you've only got 2, it's pretty boring. You need to kind of introduce an interesting element into it to keep it fresh. All right. Well, let us know how Moonhaven plays out. I kind of like the cast. I didn't really have anything. I mean, I do like Dominic. You know, I thought Bella was okay. I liked Indira Mare, who's Amara Khadan. I liked all the cast, to be honest. I didn't really have any casting problems. I just thought it was a little bit strange the way it was set up with the set designers and the costume designers having a little bit too much power. And there was nothing else that I found like terribly compelling about it. Yeah.
I think also, at least so far in the first 3 episodes, we haven't seen anything on Earth. And for a show about, I understand it's about the moon colony and how they're supposed to save Earth, but let's see what's wrong with Earth as well, right? Show us a little bit, give us a little bit of flavor and a little bit of context. Because this is, if you want to make this about a dystopian future, show us the dystopian future. You can't just show us a utopian ideal of what the future can have and not show us the other side of the coin.
Yeah. I enjoy shows about time travel and alternate universes, I think, the most, because I feel like I enjoy the strategy and the multiple different timelines. I think that's a genre that I really get into because I like all those kind of like moving pieces. Whereas even if a show is a drama that is, let's say, camouflaged as some type of future thing, at the end of the day, it's still just a drama to me, right? And there's not a whole lot to keep track of except this person's mad at this person doesn't trust this person, is this person good or bad? It's really hard to keep my attention. That's why, because we've seen so much of it, that's why, you know, Umbrella Academy, why For All Mankind, Timeless, you know, there's another one that I really like, Travelers. All those I thought like really kept me engaged because they're always popping in and out, and you had to kind of keep all the what happened in the past in mind because it could always circle back and be relevant again, you know? Similar to the Marvel universe, right? All right, Pete. Well, we've done it. Let's see how Moonhaven plays out, and let's do our homework for the upcoming week. We'll have something new to discuss then.
Absolutely.
Thank you, listeners, and please reach out to us.
Aloha at filmsandstuffpodcast.com or tweet at us at F&S Podcast.
Hoodie alert. Come claim your hoodie. Okay. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, listeners. Have a great week ahead.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Ethan. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.